Hi everyone, this is a quick demo of the Multimodal Live API with Gemini 2.0 that allows you to have a conversation with Gemini. I'm actually going to share my screen with Gemini and go through some code with it. Hope you enjoy. First of all, in order to get started with the Multimodal Live API, you need to go to aistudio.google.com/live. And once you're here, you can start sharing your screen with Gemini. Hey Gemini, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. How can I help?
I'm going to go through some code with you if that's okay.
Sure, I'm ready to go through the code with you. Just let me know what you'd like to discuss.
All right. First of all, here is the website of the project. Can you see it?
Yes, I can see the GitHub page for the Advent of Code 2024 Gemini project. It appears to be a repository documenting attempts to solve the Advent of Code challenges.
All right. I'm going to scroll through the repo and then you tell me what the project is about.
Okay, I'm ready. I will look at the screen as you scroll, and I'll let you know what I understand about the project.
All right. I have finished scrolling through it. What can you tell me about the project?
The project is called Advent of Code 2024-Gemini Challenge, and it seems to be an experiment where Google's Gemini AI model attempts to solve the Advent of Code programming challenges. The repository includes code and documentation of the attempts made for each day of the challenge, along with
All
details about
right.
the
All right. All
prompts.
right. Let's dive into a specific day. What can you tell me how Gemini performed on day 11 of the challenge?
On day 11, Gemini solved Part 1 and Part 2 of the challenge. For Part 2, it found a more efficient solution after being hinted that the naive solution would take too long.
Got it. So I'm actually going to show you the puzzle for day 11. Here it is of the Advent of Code challenge. I'm going to scroll through it and you tell me what the challenge is about.
Okay, I see the puzzle for day 11. It involves stones with numbers engraved on them that change based on a set of rules each time you blink. I'm ready for you to scroll through it so that I can understand the details.
All right. I actually already finished scrolling through it. So what can you tell me about it?
Okay, I understand. The challenge involves transforming a sequence of stones with numbers on them based on certain rules every time you blink. The goal is to determine the number of stones after 25 blinks. Based on the provided example, it looks like the number of stones grows fairly rapidly as each blink happens.
That's right. Actually, I'm going to show you the code for day 11 for part 1 to see and show you how Gemini solved this. This is the code. Can you tell me if this would solve the challenge?
I can analyze the code you're showing me. It appears to define a function called transform underscore stones, which takes a list of stones and applies the rules of the challenge, and then applies this transformation 25 times and then prints the number of stones. Based on the logic, it should produce the correct answer for part 1 of day 11 of the challenge.
What do you think could be a problem with this code?
One potential problem could be that the code is not optimized for performance. If the number of stones gets very large during the 25 blinks, the code might become slow. Additionally, the rules for
Got
transforming
it, got it, got
stones.
it. Actually, part 2 of the challenge is exactly asking that. How many times does part 2 ask me to blink and run the loop in the code?
It sounds like you're saying that part 2 of the challenge is directly related to the performance concerns we were just talking about. The challenge itself asks about the number of stones after 25 blinks, and a naive solution that loops 25
Okay, but
times.
what about part 2? How many blinks do I need to calculate in part 2 of the challenge?
Part 2 of the challenge requires you to calculate the number of stones after blinking a total of 75 times.
Got it. And what would be the problem if I ran this code for part 2 of the challenge?
If you ran this code for part 2 of the challenge, it would take a very long time to complete and could even crash due to the memory requirements and the number of calculations needed to perform 75 blinks. It
Got
is
it. I
optimized.
actually pointed that out to Gemini and it came up with a different solution. Here's the solution for part 2, where it calculates the number of stones after 75 blinks. Does that seem more efficient to you?
Yes, this code looks much more efficient than the previous code for part 1. Instead of storing a list of every single stone, it keeps track of the count of stones with each unique value. That way, it doesn't run into memory issues.
Got it, got it. And what part of the puzzle, like what underlying property can it exploit or does it exploit with this code in order to run much more efficiently?
The code exploits the fact that it doesn't need to store every single stone, but instead just the count of each unique stone value. This significantly reduces the memory needed and makes the code run faster.
Got it. Thanks so much.